formidable robot.
I've been following Al's toy barn for years. Wait, that's not right. What the fuck? I've been following Al's geek attic for years. Al is, or was, a family friend, and I used to check his blog every time he updated it. Most of the site was just about his arcade collection, old game ROMs, or Jade's drawings. Then sometime in 2014, he started posting entries in the treasure hunt section. Not long after those, the blog went completely silent. He never updated again. Nobody in the family has heard from him since, and to be honest, it's been worrying me for a while. I'm archiving the entries I still have here, before the site disappears for good. Here is the link, if anyone is interested. 22nd of July. Hey folks, this update's going to be a bit different than usual. Normally my blog focuses on arcade hardware repairs, ROM preservation, occasional haul updates, and some of my arcade cabinet collection, but one of you sent me a weird link a few days ago. It led to a French forum thread, and it caught my eye for one reason. Everything that follows is translated by yours truly, who hasn't touched the language since high school, so be kind if it's a bit rusty. I'm not exactly young anymore, ouch. Thread discussion, the game, Save the Princess. Lord M12. Hey, something cool happened to me today. We all love retro games here, so I figured you guys would love to hear this. A few days ago, our parents left for a family trip to Paris. I've always been a homebody and never liked crowded places, so I stayed behind to have the house to myself for 2 weeks. But nope, my beloved little brother decided he wanted to stay home to this time. And guess who got stuck babysitting him? Can I stay home with him just this time please? I promise I'll behave. You guys wouldn't believe the restraint it took me to not lose it when he turned at me and smiled like ruining my vacation was somehow the best thing in the world to him. He's got that kind of mocking smile that makes your blood boil, every single time. It didn't take long for him to forget about his promise and starting harassing me to go to the mall, despite me telling him several times to fuck off. He snitched on me later that day and I got in trouble. That's where the story begins. 2 days ago, I took him and one of his friends, let's call him R, he's a nerdy looking guy but pretty funny actually, to the mall so they could have some fun outside. My parents had seen some stories on telly about missing kids and immediately panicked. Instead of taking care of him themselves, they thought it'd be smart to dump the responsibility on me. I honestly have no idea who would even want to kidnap a whiny kid like him anyway. Not that it would bother me. I decided to ditch them at the old arcade on the ground floor. It's half abandoned, with broken machines, moldy carpet, and an awful odor of soda and hamburger from the fast food above. Practically no one goes there anymore, and the owner is trying to clear everything out. He is still letting a few customers in until he finishes emptying the whole thing and resolve all the legal stuff. He's an old guy, really chill. I bought him a few tokens and a soda, then I ran straight to the fighting games to show the two who was the boss. Just when I realized no one was following me, that I noticed that R was taking my brother straight to a group of other kids next to the pinball machines. I was a bit bummed, but I played a few solo matches to kill time. Fighting games aren't that fun when it's just you and a bad AI. When they came back a few minutes later, both of them looked flushed and were staring at their feet. I asked what they were doing. My brother mumbled, "It's nothing, I just made some friends," then pulled out his phone and didn't take his eyes off it for the rest of the day. I tried peeking over his shoulder a few times, but he was so hunched over, I couldn't see anything. Around 4 p.m., I tossed them some money to grab food upstairs. They walked off still glued to their phones. I went to see what the other brats were doing. They were all gathered around an arcade machine. Everyone was just laughing and joking around it, like it was somehow the most interesting thing ever. The thing is, I've never seen it before. No name, no logo, nothing. I approached the machine to see it better. The group quickly scattered. The whole thing was painted purple with random splashes of colors. It looked like someone just threw paint on it and called it a day. You could even see the metal underneath the paint in some spots. It looked turned off. I pressed one of the buttons on the panel, and the title, Save the Princess, appeared on screen. It was the most generic arcade game title ever, but hey, gameplay's what matters, right? I didn't expect a mind-blowing story from an arcade game. I pulled out a coin and inserted it into the machine. I heard some mechanical clicking, then the machine spit it back out. The screen buzzed and flashed in big red letters, "You can't, age limit exceeded." A machine denying someone a turn. Could you believe it? I tried again. Same result. I was disappointed, but didn't think much of it. I complained about to the owner, and he just looked kinda confused. He was like, "Kids have been playing on it all day, it seems fine." I was frustrated, but I didn't push it. The guy had lost a ton of weight since the last time I saw him. He's a good dude, dealing with way too much right now, and I didn't want to make things worse. I used my last token to play a random pinball game and ran to catch up with the kids upstairs. If my parents found out I left them alone, I'd be screwed. No more posts from me. The implication here is that my parents would fucking murder me. The rest of the day wasn't eventful. My brother and I stayed quiet the whole walk, both on their smartphones. Not that I minded, lol. So, anyone know what machine this could be? I've searched on Google and YouTube, but I found nothing. No images, no gameplay, just tons of other games with the same name and basic story. Lord M12. At Anami, at La Palel Door. No guys, I found nothing either about this machine. I'm not even sure Save the Princess is the real name, since the top of the cabinet had the paint stripped off. I couldn't sleep all night, between the sounds of people running downstairs outside my apartment at 2 a.m., and my brother in the next room holding in his laughter like an idiot on his phone. It was a fucking nightmare. He wouldn't have stopped if I hadn't gotten up and yelled at him. I figured I might as well do some research online. I dug through Google, YouTube, even asked on 4chan. No screenshots, no gameplay, there was fucking nothing about that game on the internet, just dozens of similarly named games. This thing is driving me insane. I hate not understanding something. I'll try going back tomorrow with more info. It'll keep me busy. I'll keep you guys updated. I couldn't find any cabinet matching Lord M12's description either. Maybe it's because of how generic the name is, how obscure the game is, or maybe the author's just a liar. He's actually known on the forum for flooding threads, making comebacks after being banned, and generally starting fights. Still, he seems to get along with a few members. But hey, giving up at the first hurdle never helped us uncover rare gems before. Remember when you guys mocked me because I believed Hersbrecher was real? Remind me, who's one of the only people in the world with a playable version now? I have to admit, this story started getting really interesting, especially with the game description he posted in his next messages. Several forum members began to take interest, some as a joke, others more seriously. The next day, people reminded him of his promise to follow up, and he replied, "Lord M12. Calm down guys. I know you all love me, but no need to fight. There's enough M12 to go around." This was followed by a photo of a guy in a plain khaki t-shirt flexing his arm, showing off a black bracelet and a few chunky rings. The thread went off topic for a while as people argued about whether the photo was fake. I'm not translating any of that for obvious reasons. Now for the important part. Lord M12. I went back to the mall today. And holy hell, do I have stuff to tell you guys. Of course, I had to drag my brother along again. Mom and Dad can't trust the little favorite to be alone for even one day. You should have seen his face when I told him we were going back. First time he looked away from his phone in days. The freak begged me to let him stay home, like I'd just told him we were going to the slaughterhouse. But as the older brother, I'm always right when no one's around to argue. Didn't take much to shut him up and get him to follow me. When we got there, I went straight to the cabinet. Same filthy corner, same ugly paint. I wanted to try again. Maybe I could force something or glitch it. Unfortunately for me, it was busy. The owner was already on it, a dozen kids gathered around, seemingly super interested. I pushed my way through the crowd and went to talk to the old man, his toolbox at his feet. Apparently, my comment yesterday had made him check out the machine himself. He really couldn't get it to start. He said he'd been trying to fix it for 2 hours, but judging by his face, it felt more like the entire night. I was about to ask him the name of the machine when a scream cut me off. A little girl came running from the bathroom, yelling that her little brother had just thrown up on the floor. He shot me a helpless look and went to grab him up, while the kid freaked out in the background. Jackpot. I had the machine all to myself. I grabbed one of yesterday's tokens from his pocket. He tried to snatch it back, but his hunk of a brother was way too strong for him. He never stood a chance. As I leaned in to try, my brother tugged on my sleeve. I think he was trying to tell me something, but I didn't really pay attention. It was working. I glanced at him out of the corner of my eye, scowling. I just stuck out my tongue. The little baby ran off to the other side of the room to join some kids. Finally, peace. I felt proud just seeing the title screen appear. The background of the screen flashed brightly for a few seconds, while the elegant silhouette of a woman rose from below. The pixel art was absolutely phenomenal for a game that I think must have been over 30 years old. Her beautiful black hair flowed down her shoulders, clinging to and trailing along her arms, which stretched out on either side of the screen to embrace her affectionately. Her long white dress floated in the wind with such fluidity that for a moment, my attention almost left my face. That horrible face, if you could even call it that. It was mostly a mouth, open so wide that it pushed the other features of the face far back on the head where they were almost invisible, hidden behind the dark hair. The jaw was contorted and broken in such an inhuman way that kept me from clenching mine from cringe. The screen went blank, leaving me face to face with my own face. I suddenly became very aware of the gaze of the group of children in the shadows in the corner of the room. I did my best to ignore them for what seemed like an eternity before the screen came back on. The rest of the game just hurt to look at. There's really no better word for it. I'd compare the graphics to something on the Atari, but even Atari games had consistent pixel art. This was basically just a mess of pixels. When the game starts, you control what I think is supposed to be the princess from the title screen. The first few minutes of gameplay are just you walking her across a dark map, passing through room after room. The only sound is this high-pitched mechanical screeching that cuts in and out randomly. Is there any other music in the soundtrack? No. Does it get annoying to have the same awful sound looping in your ears? Yes, very quickly. After about 10 identical black rooms, you find the game's second character, a sort of small dude with an ovalish head. Interacting with it causes the screen to abruptly zoom in without warning, bringing the character to the center. The interface changes completely, looking like some sort of Tamagotchi menu. At the top, a name appears, thrown away, written in shaky flickering capital letters. On either side of the character are two options, praise and punish. No tutorial is given. Just those choices. I tried punish first. It just made the character tremble slightly. Then I picked praise. The screen zoomed back out, and now the guy was following us. The next room was a boss fight. Two white blocks stood in front of me, labeled "M" and "D" above their health bars. Pressing a button made your small guy attack. M died almost instantly, but D was another story. Every damages I landed was reflected back onto my own knight. After a long boring fight, both fell at the same time. M and D vanished, but the knight's body stayed behind. Walking on it made it disappear, unlocking the next room. There were two more round-headed NPCs in the next room, blind and lost. That was the whole gameplay loop. Spam praise to recruit these guys, beat the bosses, use the bodies to heal. The pacing was fast, but the gameplay quickly became boring and repetitive. Then came a strange room. An NPC walked up and triggered the interaction menu. Its name? Favorite. I chose to encourage it. The machine flashed bright red, "You can't," and shut off. I was alone, staring at my reflection again. It took me a moment to notice I spent a lot more time on this crappy game than I thought. The kids were gone. The arcade was completely empty. I inserted another coin. It fell to the ground. "You can't, age limit exceeded." I tried a few more times, nothing. Even though the game was over, the cabinet kept making that awful screeching sound. The more I listened to it, the more it started to sound like metal scraping against metal. I went to check the bathroom for the old guy. Cleaning up vomit shouldn't have taken that long. I swung the bathroom door wide open. It was exactly as filthy as you'd expect a place like this to be. I'm not even gonna bother describing it, I'm sure you've got the picture and smell. At least I couldn't see any vomit. By the sink, the mop and the man's completely empty toolbox were left behind. Looks like he had to leave in a rush. In the mirror, the reflection of something shiny caught my eyes. I went closer. The keys had been left at the bottom of the sink. I grabbed them and the toolbox. While leaving the bathroom, I almost tripped over a mess of exposed wires spilling out from under a pinball machine. This place was seriously falling apart, and there didn't seem to be anyone around to fix it. I just set the toolbox at the entrance and hurried out. I pulled out my phone. It was off, completely dead. It was only when I got home that I saw my brother on the phone by his window. That jerk had gone back home without telling me, just to get me in trouble. You should have seen his terrified face when I walked into him seeing me. He knew he'd just messed up big time. I yanked the phone right out of his hand. We had a fight. He's grounded now. He'll be for a while. His descriptions of the game's design was interesting. The inconsistent graphics, especially the use of all those pixels, the unique mechanics, it feel oddly modern. I even theorize it might be a recent game designed by a small group of devs to emulate retro arcade cabinets, albeit poorly, but not to mention forgetting to put a space after a comma in this sentence. The grammatical mistakes are so fucking complicated. As you all know, I believe every piece of art deserves to be preserved and made accessible to anyone who wants to experience it, even the terrible ones. I'll keep digging. See you in the next update. 25th of July. Lord M12. You guys are insane, seriously. Yeah, I said I'd go back, obviously. But I didn't expect to get harassed in my DMs all night by some kind of autistic detective army convinced they'd found Polybius too. One of you assholes even managed to get my phone number. I didn't sleep at all. At Danslastuyogs, what the fuck is even that name I tried to pronounce, even told me the machine might be linked to the missing kids. Bro, no it's not. It's an old game that looks like shit. No fucking kids would play that. They're all too busy staying on their smartphones or watching television. This thing would bait nobody except some nostalgic old nerd. That kidnapper would be a complete dumbass. Look, I'm just as curious as you guys, but I can't go back this week. The owner's nowhere to be seen, and the arcade's been closed for days. I've got some super important stuff going on right now too. Between the lack of sleep, your messages, and my parents yelling at me again, I'm seriously on edge. I'm gonna try to spend some time away from this machine, okay? I really like sharing these stories with you, and it's awesome that so many people interact with my posts. I promise I'll get back to it as soon as I can. Face blanch. At Lord M12, I'll be real with you. You must stop playing that game. You didn't exit the game. It kicked you out. Didn't you notice? She hates you. This is a trick. Don't let yourself be fooled. There are much smarter ones out there, but she won't use them for idiots like you. Lord M12. At Face Blanche, fuck off dude. I wasn't kicked out. It was just a shitty old game with really shitty game design and an even shittier DA, like thousands of games at that time. There was a working Hello Kitty pinball next to the machine. Should I be afraid of it too? Face Blanche. You're not as clever as you'd like to think, Arthur, or as brave. You've been in an even worse mood than usual. It's clearly messing with your head. Why don't you spend time with your brother instead? Do you even know what he is doing right now? I'm sure he'd love for you to do something else than obsess over an arcade cabinet. Lord M12. At Face Blanche, don't even start talking about him. You don't know jack shit about us. Everyone in this town already treats him like the second coming. It's been that way since we're kids. He gets praised for literally breathing while I get chewed out for every tiny mistake they can find in what I do or say. His ass already gets kissed enough, I'm not adding to it. I hate the whiny snot-filled people pleaser just as much as he hates me. We'd both be better off if the other didn't exist. Face blanch. At Lord M12, looks like I misunderstood. I'm sorry. Can't you just go at night? You clearly want to learn more about the machine. Wouldn't it be better to just scratch that itch one last time, and be done with it? How long has it been since you got real sleep? I think you should go as soon as you can. You never mentioned giving back the keys, did you? 3 hours later, Lord M12 posted again. Lord M12. I went back, at night. Waited for my brother to fall asleep, or at least stop making any sound from his room. Grabbed one of Dad's old flashlights and slipped out as quietly as I could. I walked for about 40 minutes to the mall. It was freezing. That damp kind of cold that seeps into your skin, even through your hoodie. Never liked these places with too many people, but at night, they just feel wrong. No noise, no lights, just a huge empty parking lot with a few tagged up scooter husks. The automatic doors were locked, duh, but one side window had been busted weeks ago, probably some drunk. I painfully squeezed my body through the frame. Not everything was dark. A few areas had flickering neon lights that seemed to have turned themselves back on. And there was a sound, a low electrical hum, and a pitch in the air. Not a noise exactly, more like a feeling, I guess. Jesus Christ, stop putting spaces before putting a question mark or any kind of punctuation. A thin high whistle, you don't hear it, you sense it. I admit I wasn't fully there mentally. I hadn't slept well in almost a week. My brain felt swollen, I could feel it knocking against my skull. I opened the arcade room. That green light from the cabinet was already flashing in the back, not reflected by anything else in the room. This time, I didn't see my reflection in the glass cabinets. It was like the glass was blacker, its darkness absorbing my face. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a coin, and inserted it into the machine. Rejected, again. I tried over and over to feed the coin into the machine. Every time, it spat it back out. 10 minutes wasted on that damned hunk of junk. I checked the power, checked the other machines, even tried prying off the back panel with my bare hands to see the wiring. Everything was fine, no reason it shouldn't work. I picked it out of frustration. It laughed. I promise you guys it was not in my head, I swear I'm not insane. I heard it. Low, scratchy, cheap, but definitely a laugh. I picked it again, harder. The laugh got louder. It was mocking me. Something in my head snapped. I started pounding on it. Fists, boots, whatever I could. The laughter multiplied, high-pitched, circling me from all directions. Memories I didn't want slammed into my head. I hit harder, hard enough to smear my own blood across the cabinet. You can't, flashed in yellow across the screen. Hot tears hit my cheeks, shame boiling into rage. I flipped a pinball machine, beat it until a leg came loose, and drove the metal straight into the arcade screen. The laughter faltered. I kept stabbing, over and over, long after the glass was nothing but shards. I didn't care. I wanted it to hurt. Slowly, the sound faded. But I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. The rage was still there. The memory still burned. I kept going until I collapsed in front of it, out of breath. Before I could wipe my face, the screen flickered back to life, warped image of my brother, staring down at me with that same contempt. Of course it was Gabriel's fault. Ever since that bastard was born, everything had only gotten worse for me. I saw the smirk forming and grabbed the pinball leg again, raising it high. You can't, flashed one last time before the screen went black. Behind the broken glass, an ugly and pathetic man stared back at me, his eyes full of anger and exhaustion. I smashed the screen. The room plunged into total darkness and silence, but it didn't last long. That horrible screeching metallic noise began. It scraped across the floor behind me. Before I could turn around, something long and sharp latched onto my leg, wrapping around it and pierced my skin deep enough to tear into my calf. It yanked so hard, I thought I'd lose my leg. The jaw emerged first, huge and hinged wide open, long dirty sharp metal wires that shot from its mouth and hooked into my flesh to pull itself forward. Its head was topped with twisting and tangly strands of long black hair. It hurt like hell, but I ran. But pulling at them only made the wires tighten and drag her with me. She crawled out of the shadow just enough that I could see her long wet dirty dress, covering writhing copper wires that sparked violently at each of their erratic movement. Terrified, I tried to ignore the pain and just continued running. It worked. I must have pulled on my leg hard enough to tear a part of my skin and make the wires slip loose. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. As I limped away, the metal limbs started swinging across the arcade, hooking into the ceiling lamps and nearby cabinets, moving her like a broken marionette. She hurled herself toward me, slashed my arm, slammed into a wall. Then scattered her limbs across it, blocking the exit. I froze. She began to stretch her body from across the wall, those wires sliding back into her mouth, shrieking as they scraped together. Her black eyes rolled back to look in my direction. Maybe something behind me. Maybe something inside of me, but definitely not me. The corners of her massive mouth pulled outward, unnaturally wide, no muscle behind the skin. It moved like a thin plastic being tugged. A thin transparent green liquid oozed down her lip. The smell of burned rotting garbage caught my throat. I don't know how long she stared at me. I was a statue. If she had wanted to disembowel me and fill my carcass with her offspring at that moment, she would have done so, and I would not have protected myself. During all this time, my survival instinct had abandoned me. As I write this, I still have no idea what was going through my mind. Everything was blank. I'm not even sure I wanted to look at anything else but her at that moment. And I don't know if I want to understand what happened to me. For some reason, she retracted her lower wires, opening the way to the door. I woke up and ran. I ran faster than I ever have thought possible. My foot was screaming in pain. Blood soaked through my shoes, making me nearly slip on the grimy mall floor. I dove through the same broken window, glass slicing my shoulder and face. Instead of heading into the woods, where she'd have plenty of anchors to chase me, I bolted for the parking. Terrible idea. The moment my foot hit the pavement, my bloody foot caught on something and slammed into the ground. I didn't get up. I stayed there and cried, from pain, from fear, from confusion, and from exhaustion. I don't know how long I lay there on the pavement. But when I finally lifted my head, I thought I'd gone insane. I was surrounded. About 30 small figures stood around me. All of them were wrapped in long damp-stained sheets, tied painfully around their necks with rope, enough to cut off their breath. Some weren't even wearing shoes. I can't describe the horror I felt in that moment, and I also can't describe the cringe of this story's writing style. I tried to stand, tried to flee, only to come face to face with another one of them, drenched wet. It was reaching down into a manhole, pulling out another hiding figure. This one was different. It wore a much cleaner sheet. It looked at me. Still, I didn't take any chances. I ran. I sprinted toward the largest gap in the circle, barely slipping through. The moment I did, the sound of dozens of feet slapping the pavement erupted behind me. I darted into the forest, hoping the trees would slow them down more than they'd slow me. My throat was dry, barely breathing enough air into my burning lungs. I've done some training, sure, but nothing like this. No endurance. It felt like all the oxygen in my body had fled my brain just to keep my legs moving. I was running on instinct alone. But I wasn't fast enough. One of them came out from behind a tree and lunged at me. The one in the clean sheet lunged, grabbed my leg, and dragged me to the ground. I tried to get up. It climbed on top of me, wrapping its slim arms around me, trying to pin me down. I punched it in the face. Its grip loosened slightly. It could feel pain. The moment that realization hit me, I struck again, then again, and again. I heard it groan, choke. I felt a sharp icy pain pierce my stomach. I paused for a second. When I saw him raise the rusty blood-covered screwdriver over my face, panic hit me. My body screamed in pain every time the tool tore, stabbed or slashed my flesh. I lashed out, hitting, clawing, biting and ripping like a damn wild animal. There was nothing human in me anymore in that moment. I was so scared of what I was doing. Sometimes its grip weakened. Other times it clamped down harder. I don't know how long we struggled like that on the dirt. Eventually, the whole sheet around its head stained red. A few seconds later, it collapsed beside me. I grabbed the screwdriver and drove it violently into its face with all my strength. I heard something soft tear. I almost threw up. I could hear the footsteps of the others catching up. I gasped for breath, got up, and ran again. I think I heard a faint voice calling me. But I didn't stop to listen. I just kept running home. I'm barricaded inside. Gabriel is gone again. He slipped out during the night. He won't answer any of my calls. I tried calling my parents, nothing. My phone won't recognize any emergency numbers. I'm terrified, guys. I know they followed me. I know they're still here. I can hear them whispering to each other. My phone barely works. I can't post anywhere else. Even the other boards on the forum won't load. This thread is the only place I can still reach. This is the only place I can feel less alone. I swear I'm not lying, guys. I'm writing this right now with blood dripping down my fingers onto my phone screen. I don't really have any friends outside this place. I'm usually too scared to even go outside my house. I have no idea why I was so goddamn obsessed with this stupid machine in the first place. But at the same time, I can't help wanting to go back to it. Just the thought of not being around it makes me insane. It's like someone is tearing my heart apart with their teeth whenever I'm away from it. I miss her. Gabriel's gone. Mom and Dad won't pick up. I'm all alone. I'm sorry for being such a jerk before. I just want one of you to lie and tell me that everything will be okay. That was the last message posted before I joined the thread myself. I tried asking him more questions about the machine, but the thread exploded with posts immediately after that. My messages were buried among dozens of others. One of his posts got deleted. According to some users, it contained a gory image, possibly of self-harm. Some people called him desperate for attention. Others mocked him, accusing him of hurting himself just for internet sympathy. Eventually, all of his other newer posts were deleted. From what I gathered through replies, he'd insulted multiple users, violated forum rules, and stirred up a lot of hostility. Some forum members encouraged him to keep posting more shock content, mocking him as he got angrier. A moderator finally stepped in, shut the thread down, and banned Lord M12 from the site. Thrown away was my last chance to speak with him. The very last post, right before the thread was deleted, was from an account with no name or profile picture. Manhole, alone, save me. That account, and several others, were deleted that same night. According to users I contacted via private message, all of those accounts were created on the same day Lord M12 first posted about playing the game. They only posted in that one thread, only late at night, only responding to M12. Just sock puppet accounts, probably his own, nothing else than attention seeking. Lord M12 never posted again. But like I said, he had a habit of coming back under new usernames every time he got banned, for flooding, lying, insulting people. No one knows what his next account might be. But it's become a running joke on the forum. Every time a new user joins, someone asks, "Is that you, Lord M12?" This whole thing was just a mess of lies made up by a lonely teen looking for attention on an old forum. Can't say I haven't been there. Still, I kinda wish I could have talked to the kid a bit. He really seemed like he needed it. No hard feelings to the guy who sent me the thread link. Put a space in it, goddammit. It was actually fun brushing up on my rusty French. Kind of nostalgic. But don't worry folks, our next investigation will lead us to treasure. Keep your heads up. While waiting for the next hunt, you can take a look at my daughter's drawings in Jade's art gallery. It would make her really happy if someone took a bit of their time to take a look at what she does, you know? 27th of July. Hey guys, I found it. The machine is in my basement. Remember those calls I made last time? I've spent entire days digging for any info on that damn cabinet, even while at work, and found nothing. I probably would have lost a whole week of sleep over it if my buddy Eddie hadn't called me up. Same Eddie who found me that amazing Psycho Soldier cabinet last time. You can always count on him. He was clearing out the back of his basement when he stumbled upon a Save the Princess arcade machine identical to the one described in the forum thread. Down to the worn-off paint at the top. Seems like that was intentional. Actually, the whole cabinet looks pretty new. It's real. To bring the cabinet to my house, Eddie in his infinite wisdom suggested we go pick up the cabinet with his boat. The problem is, I'm really scared of large body of waters. I almost drowned as a kid, and since then I just panic when I'm in water. I'm unable to swim. If I fall, I panic, sink, and that's it, fish food. But renting a truck to go the long way around like I usually do would have cost way too much, and unfortunately my daughter and I aren't exactly swimming in money right now, no pun intended. Eddie promised it would be calm and quick. And most importantly, free. So I did what any broke collector would do, I gritted my teeth and prayed. I was tense the entire trip. Didn't let go of the railing once. Eddie thought it was hilarious to joke about making a little detour to go fishing. Haha, very funny. In the end, we returned home safe and sound. But if I ever have to choose between drowning and paying highway tolls again, I'll start saving for those tolls right now. Can't you even capitalize the first word in that sentence after a full stop? Naturally, we checked everything inside just to be sure. No ghosts, no cursed wires, no monster woman, lol. The CRT's in rough shape, but it's fixable. I'll send more photos soon. Here's something interesting we did notice, something not mentioned in any of the forum posts. Along the sides of the machine are tiny speaker-like elements, barely larger than screws. Neither Eddie nor I have ever seen anything like them. Maybe they're part of a unique gameplay mechanic. Anyway, after the inspection, we plugged the machine in right away, super hyped to try it out. But get this, we spent over an hour trying to get the thing to start. Nothing, not even a flicker. Sun was starting to set when Eddie got a call from his wife. Fucking space. He gave me a pat on the shoulder and headed out, just as disappointed as I was that we couldn't get it working. I stuck around a little longer, fiddled with the hardware, double-checked the wiring. Still no luck. Eventually I gave up and went to cook dinner for Jade. Another fucking space. And when I came back, the screen was on. It had booted up while I was gone. As for the gameplay, meh. The kid didn't lie, it's pretty boring. You walk down a long dark hallway, talk to little white silhouettes, recruit them by choosing to either praise or punish them. There is also a small part of the Knight's menu UI that M12 forgot to mention. A usefulness gauge that increases automatically over time, but very slowly. I have no idea what it was for, since none of my knights filled it completely during the game. There's one part that really stood out though. Once you've recruited enough knights, a little jingle plays, same as with other boss encounters. But no boss appears. The moment you step into the next room, a red sprite rushes at the princess. It's detailed enough to show a terrified expression, and it strikes her hard. Only then does the boss bar appear, double B. Important detail, double B only attacks the princess. Never the knights, despite their numbers being your actual life gauge. The fight lasts a few minutes, basically just eating hits until the knights chip double B down to half of its HP. Then it collapses. The knights gather all at the bottom of the screen, except one, who stays next to double B's body. Interacting with double B does nothing, just a harsh loud bump sound. Complimenting the knight beside him, named favorite in its menu. No effect. Punishing him makes his sprite tremble slightly. You can't leave the room. None of the other knights respond to input. Eventually, likely out of desperation, you will try punishing the same knight again. And this time, he trembles more violently. That's it, you must repeatedly punish your knight. Each time you press the button, his movements slow. The sound becomes sharper and more grating. The screen begins to shake. After about 30 punishments, yes 30, the screen zoom in, and the knight suddenly lunges at Double B's corpse, attacking over and over again. Double B's sprite starts twitching violently as it's struck. The sounds grow louder and louder until the health bar drops to a single red pixel. Damn space. Very quickly, more knights rush in to join the carnage, charging one after another into the bosses until a huge twitching mass of knights completely smothers the screen. The game begins to emit awful broken noises, distorted and wet, the pops and cracks of something soft being torn apart. The sequence drags on far too long. It doesn't end until slowly, the knights begin peeling away one by one from the pile, leaving only a jagged fragment of the bosses lying on the floor. Only then does the music change into a calm triumphant victory jingle. The rest of the knights regroup, all except one. It stands in the middle of the room, perfectly still beside the body. Ignore it. It will find you again a few rooms later. Nothing else interesting happened for the next hour. Just more corridors, more nights, same gameplay loop. Anyway, gotta go tuck in my little girl before she gets upset. I'll upload screenshots of the game tomorrow, maybe even try to dump the ROM online so everyone can try it. 28th of July. I couldn't dig any deeper into that damn ROM today. Not until now anyway. My daughter spent the whole day shaking, literally. She refused to eat, wouldn't talk, and clung to me as if she was afraid I would disappear. I managed to calm her down an hour ago by putting on a children's program on telly. She stopped crying, and I can even hear her giggling softly at the presenter's various comments and reactions. She has a soothing, gentle voice, perfect for calming shy kids like her. I don't know what she's teaching her, but Jade seems to be fascinated by the subject. I tried a few times to walk by and listen discreetly, but it was just commercials. You guys should have seen my daughter's beautiful smile. Stop putting spaces before a exclamation or question mark, for God's sake. I should ask Jade what the show is about. Maybe it could help me think of some activities I could do with her. I'm scared she's been feeling a little lonely since I started working on this machine. 3rd of August. Everything is fine. Jade and I have decided to take a short vacation. We left earlier this week. We will be away for some time. There is no reason for anyone to worry or to come looking for us. We will return when it is appropriate. We are both healthy and safe. Please do not try to contact us during this period. I will not respond. Thank you for your understanding. Thank God, the complex and messy writing madness is over.